Okay, welcome to day 6. So today we're going to be implementing the last and most critical piece to our blockchain application, the wallet. A wallet allows the players of our game not only a place to store their funds, but a way to send and receive those funds and cryptographically sign transactions, ensuring that we can validate those funds and transactions came from that wallet. Let's take a look at a typical online transaction today. A consumer will visit a website, and they'll add some items to their cart, and then they'll initiate the checkout process. They're going to have to enter their credit card number on that site, but what happens to that credit card number? Was it sent securely to the server? And is the merchant going to store that credit card number? If they do, are they following good security practices? And who has access to that number now, because anyone with that card number can use it? Well, we have mechanisms in place to deal with all of this, and in the event that something happens, most merchants and card issuers will work with you to resolve the issue. But that's not done out of the kindness of their heart. You're paying for that service every day in the form of fees and transaction costs. Let's take a look at that same transaction using blockchain technologies. The shopping process will look the same. Add items to your cart, and then start the checkout process. But when you check out, you don't enter a credit card number. You use your wallet to cryptographically sign a transaction containing the instructions for that purchase. So was it done securely? Well, hopefully it was, but if not, it really doesn't matter because the only thing you sent was a signed transaction with the details of the purchase. And if anyone intercepts and changes that transaction along the way, that signature is no longer valid. Well, what about storing the details? Sure, they can store them. It's also going to get stored on the public blockchain, and that's okay because it's just the details of the transactions. Nothing in there can be used to create additional transactions. And what about their security practices? Well, the contract you interact with is on the public blockchain, where it can be viewed and audited for security. And finally, your private key never left your wallet, so the only way your account can be used to create malicious transactions is if you lose control of that private key. So there's no third party involved to charge you account maintenance and monitoring fees. A wallet's a software program that stores public and private keys. It allows you to interact with blockchains to sign transactions, which may include sending and receiving currency or executing smart contracts. They don't actually store any currency. They can only reference transactions on the blockchain tied to that address. Well, let's talk about public and private keys for a minute. It's an important concept to understand because if you compromise your private key, you compromise everything associated with it. Each wallet has a private and public key. Think of the public key as the street address to your house and the private key as the key that can unlock the mailbox. Anyone can send something to your mailbox using your public key, but only someone with the private key can unlock the mailbox. Let's throw out a few more analogies of this and then summarize a key point. Your email address is public, and the password to your email account is private. Your bank info is relatively public, but you have to provide some form of identification to use it. Your car is publicly viewable, but you have to have the key to unlock it. Maybe that particular car is a bad example. That might not even be the right key for it, but my point's still valid. In all of those scenarios, if you lose your private key, you can regain access to your asset by either calling a locksmith, talking to tech support, or going to the bank to get a new debit card. In blockchain technologies, though, if you lose that private key, it's over. There's simply no way to recover a private key that's been lost. And that's by design. Any scenario where you can regain access once lost is because there's a middleman somewhere who still has access, whether that's the bank, the locksmith, the email provider, and you pay for that convenience. With blockchain, there's no middleman and you own the responsibility. The benefit of this ownership is your account can't be hacked unless you allow it to happen, and you don't pay a third-party transaction fee for the convenience of using your money. There are different types of wallets available. There's a desktop wallet that's downloaded and installed on your computer, and it's only accessible from the computer where it's downloaded. It has a really high level of security, but if you get hacked or you have a virus, it's vulnerable to that attack. MetaMask is one such example of a desktop wallet, and we'll be working with it more today. Online wallets run on a third-party server, and they're really convenient to use. The private keys are stored online by the wallet provider, and they're controlled by that third party. Coinbase is a really popular example of an online wallet provider. Mobile wallets are installed as an app on your phone, and they're really useful for payments like at retail stores. Most of the time they have fewer features than desktop just because of the limited space available on your phone. Mycelium is a really popular example of a mobile wallet. Hardware wallets store the private key on the hardware itself, and they have a very high level of security. So high, in fact, that you can even use a hardware wallet on infected PCs. Now, you still need a backup in case that hardware fails. The Ledger Nano S is one example of a hardware wallet. And finally, we have paper wallets. They're really easy to use, and they have a high level of security because there's no technology to fail. And for an example, well, it really is just a piece of paper. I'll show you how that works in just a minute. Well, which wallet is best for you? The answer, like most questions, is it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. In this course, we're going to use MetaMask because it provides a great balance of security and ease of use. Personally, I use multiple wallets and each has a different role. I have a mobile wallet on my phone with just a little bit of currency on it that I can use for transactions on the fly. I also have a hardware wallet where I store the bulk of my cryptocurrencies. I keep it locked in a fire safe, and it's backed up with a paper wallet that's stored in a separate physical building so that if something were to happen to it, I still have a way to access those funds.